Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. Today I'm looking at a book which has come to us from LexisNexis and the Family Law imprint, originally from Jordan Publishing. It's a book we've reviewed before. It's an annual publication which is very useful because of what it contains and the glimpses in comparative law that it gives us for family law matters. It's the International Survey of Family Law for 2017 to 18. It's been published on behalf of the International Society of Family Law, and the general editor is Professor Margaret Brinig. The associate editor is Fareda, Banda, who has contributed to a number of the chapters. Now, Elizabeth and I have given the title of our review, she was the lead writer on this one, Developments in Family Law Around the World, selected for this new 2017 edition of the International Survey of Family Law. So it's a comparative law approach, and very welcome too, because as we've said on many occasions before, the problems that we have, say, in England and Wales are not just in England and Wales, they're much wider than that, because they tend to be the same sort of problems about the human condition and about the difficulties we have with family matters. So here's the book again. There's the front there for this year, there's the spine, and then there's a little bit of blurb on the back which you can probably see that stuff there. Then you've got the family law imprint there to go with LexisNexis. Start at the back of the book. It's a hardback, as I said, you can hear that there. There is no index, but what you do have is subheadings and you have footnotes, so there's a lot of information. You can see how it works. If we go to the front of the book, you can again see at the front there is the main front page, and then after that you've got the blurb about the book itself, and then you've got the contents. And you see it starts alphabetically with the countries, starting with Albania, and it runs all the way through to the final country, which will be the United States right at the end there. And each one has the names of the contributors from the country, or concerning the country that is under review. Then there's a preface from Margaret, dated July 2017, setting out what's been going on. This year's ISFL World Congress in Amsterdam has had a theme on family law and family realities. You see, that's really what's coming out of where we are at the moment. So I say the issues don't change. Then you start with Albania. There we go. And then running through it sets out as a resume, which in fact notice that that's actually in French, and then of course you then have after that a translation, so it's extremely helpful all the way through. Domestic violence law in Ireland, for instance, is covered. Again, as I say, as a family law practitioner myself, the issues, whichever country you're in, don't tend to be that different. And of course I deal with a lot of countries, as we all do now, people who come from other jurisdictions to England. And so therefore we've got to have some idea of the way that they would be adopting the family law policies and procedures and law in their own country, and how it's affected when they've actually come to the United Kingdom and to England and Wales. So as I say, this comparative study I think is of very great help. So what do we say about the book? Well, around the world in 20 countries, this survey once again takes family lawyers on a virtual worldwide journey in which the latest and most notable developments in family law are noted, examined and reviewed by an international team of academics and experts, all specialists in this complex and sensitive area of law. Now, it's published yearly by LexisNexis now. It was part from Jordan's originally, and Jordan's of course are now part of Lexis. And of course it also comes under the imprint of family law, which we all know. A great service for us. Thank you all very much for giving it to us. It does make our lives easier. And of course this book is also published on behalf of the International Society of Family Law, the ISFL. And it's an annual review that many a family lawyer will look forward to, because as I say, it does give you a fairly good illustrative illustrative reflection, if you like, of some of the problems that we are encountering at the moment. Recording this towards the end of 2017. Now, year after year, it's been consistently authoritative, this work, with much of its content providing something of a revelation, as it always aims at including the latest and most important developments in family law. And as I've said, I think that's useful because I think we can learn from other jurisdictions about how we might tackle some particular areas of difficulty. And it's nice to see that there's a certain amount of standardisation, at least in sensible countries, about how we are going to deal with some of the major social problems that arise in family law disagreements. Now, from that, this is a quote: "One of the great benefits of this annual survey of family law," says the editor, Margaret Brinig, "is the opportunity to see the panorama of changes across the globe," and she's absolutely right. This new edition emanates from this year's ISFL World Congress in Amsterdam, as is mentioned at the beginning of the book, and it was on the theme of family law and family realities. And I think we always have to, at the family law bar and certainly as practitioners, be aware of the reality of the situation for both spouses and partner and children when there are really serious problems. And of course the core question here is whether national family laws adequately reflect the changing realities of family life in a world in which family law is in a state of flux. And that's a problem which we have to just live with at the moment. But we can add authoritative statements and views, certainly through the legal academic community, and I'm sure that helps. Now, as the book reveals to a significant extent, family laws tend to reflect the mores, values, customs, and generally the social history and prevailing cultural activities of individual regions and countries, some receptive to change and others not as much so. But there's always hope. And I can think of some countries which will remain nameless, where the hitherto bans that have been imposed on for certain things being lifted will show that there is an understanding of change, brought about mainly, I suspect, by the media internationally, the fact that people are far more aware of what's going on than they were hitherto. Now, other of particular interest, of course, in this book, to UK-based lawyers, are the chapters covering countries such as Australia, Canada, New Zealand and so forth, Scotland, Ireland and the US, just to name some. The development of note is the necessarily lengthy chapter on England and Wales, which centres on mental incapacity and personal relationships. And again, that's very much at the quite high up the family law political agenda, if I can put it that way, at the moment. Other countries featured include China, France, Italy, Portugal, South Korea, South Africa, and several more. So you've got a really useful comparative law structure here. And the long list of topics in this volume features everything from adoption and assisted reproduction to child protection and maintenance to co-motherhood, international child abduction, an area I've been involved in, certainly polygamy and marital property, and then to what we've all have to deal with. It's on an increase too, of again, in my view, domestic violence and of course succession law, which is always difficult. And this is only a summary, of course, of the impressively diverse range of subject matter that the book contains, and I think it's been very well brought together by Margaret. Interestingly, the chapter from the US concludes that because of various seismic changes in family structures that have now become commonplace, quote, "This review suggests why the law traditionally has strongly favoured formal traditional family relations, because comparatively they are the most stable and beneficial." And I have to say that I think a lot of people would recognise, you wouldn't use the word agree, but you would recognise the substantial support that one could give to that statement on the basis that gives you that stability which is so often missing. Let me conclude by saying that for comparative lawyers as well as family practitioners then, this book offers much to contemplate. It's easy to navigate and is always important as a consideration for an influential work of reference like this one to be relatively easy to sort of find your way around. The publication date is cited at the 24th of July 2017, and I'm recording this in the autumn. Now there's the front again. You've seen the book around, I'm sure. We've done the reviews in the past. That's the spine, and there's the back. As I say, it's a treasure of a book. It's very important. I'm just opening right in the middle. This is Adoption Law Reform. There we go. You've got some figures here. I'm not sure which country this actually is, but you can see that information there, and then you have some figure work. Quite a lot of statistics are sometimes given. Baby box and anonymous birth. Again, you can see this particular statement. I'm not quite sure. I'm just trying to find which country this is. In fact, it's not Mauritius, it's the one just before. So we will find it, and I'll give you the information on which one it is. It's Korea, in fact, which is quite interesting. Again, by the way, you do have some information, not just in English, but in French. I mentioned it at the beginning. So you do have a bilingual approach, and of course you do have useful footnotes about who the authors are and a lot of the information. But the majority of the book is, of course, in English. There it is. Thank you very much to Professor Brinig and to everybody who's been involved. And I'd like to say a big thank you to LexisNexis for taking this on. Obviously the family law imprint is very important for us, and the reason I do these reviews, which should appear in the journals and on the web, but the reason these reviews are here is to tell you about the book so that you know of its existence. It's not a matter of selling and buying or anything like that, because if you have access to a law library, these books will be in that law library and you'll be able to look at them. But I hope that this video will be of some assistance depending on what it is you're researching for a particular requirement. Thank you anyway to everybody concerned. Bye-bye.